श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम् ॐ सहनावतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So, in the different prakaranas which we promised to see of Bhagavan Bhashyakara, the next prakarana we are going to see is ātmajñānopadeśarvidhiṃ. It's a small text with 4 patalas, not chapters, adhyaya, not khanda parts, not padas, quarters, but this is called as patala. Patala means leaves, petals. Patala, petal, same. So they have 4 petals, 4 patalas. This text has 4 patalas. First discusses what is non-self, establishes the self to be different from the non-self. The second establishes what self is. The third one establishes the methodology of inquiry into the self. And the fourth establishes the method to be established in that self. So these are the 4 patalas here. Okay. Now, the first patala we see is the methodology to establish what is non-self, because that is what is the problem. We identify ourselves with the non-self, and that is what is the problem. Therefore, he is establishing the self to be different from non-self. This is a very beautiful, nice text, but a least known text. This is not known to many who study or teach Vedanta. It's obscure text. I don't know why this has become such a... Because why I am saying this is even the text which promise to print, or even the books which say that we have all the prakaranas of Bhagavan Bhashyakara misses this text. You can't see that. This is printed by this matha called Dakshinamurti Matha, which they have a chapter in Mount Abu and in Kashi also, Varanasi also. They print this in the text called Prakarana Ashtaka, the 8 Prakaranas, or Prakarana Dvadashi, the 12 Prakaranas. So 12 Prakaranas, they added 4 more Prakaranas and printed 12 Prakaranas. So they have the same text. So 8 plus 4, that's all. It became 12. Now, in that, we see this. The proof that this is one of Bhagavan Bhashyakara's text is that there is a commentary of Anandagiri Acharya. So, Anandagiri Acharya has commented upon Bhagavan Bhashyakara's all the texts. So, this is one of his, this has one of his commentaries. So, we can assume that this is this is an authentic text by Acharya. Okay. Now, ātmajñānopadeśarvidhiṃ atha prasama patalaha. Now, hereafter we start the first patala, first petal. We open the first petal. What is that? The text starts with atha ātmajñānopadeśarvidhiṃ vyākhyāsyāmo mumukṣave śraddhadhānāya yataye vītarāgāya. atha ātmajñānopadeśarvidhiṃ vyākhyāsyāmo. Vyākhyāsyāmo. atha ātmajñānopadeśarvidhiṃ. Ātmajñānopadeśarvidhiṃ. That's the name of the text. Atma, self. Jnana, knowledge. Upadesha, teaching. Vidhi, methodology. The methodology of imparting the self-knowledge. The methodology of instruction of self-knowledge. That is the meaning of the text. Now, the text starts with atha. There is no Mangalacharana here. It starts with atha. Atha normally is translated as hereafter. But the problem is hereafter. Therefore, what did we see before to say hereafter? To differentiate the topic from the previous set of topics, we say hereafter. But there was nothing before this statement. Therefore, this atha is not in the sense of hereafter. We can assume that. We can understand that. Like in Brahma Sutra, there is this athato Brahma Jignasa. That is the name of the text. The first sutra. That is the first sutra. Atha Brahma Jignasa. Atha means anantarya. Means hereafter. Hereafter means hereafter what? Hereafter means after studying the Vedas. But the problem is you cannot understand like that. Because Vedas are not compulsory to enter into the Vedanta. Yadahareva vrajet, tahareva pravrajet. The very day you gain the dispassion, that very day you give up. That is what is the statement from the Shruti. Therefore, it is not after completing the study of Vedas. Then what atha? After getting into grastha, no. The very day. So that also is dismissed. So you don't even have to enter into the varnashramas. So, therefore, we say atha there means after gaining the viveka, vairagya, etc. prerequisites. Or that atha can also double up as a mangala charana. Here, we assume that the atha hereafter means it is mangala charana in the sense of mangala. How can atha be mangala? Auspicious word. Because it is said in Mahabhashya, Omkaro śraddhadhānāya gauyeto brahmanah pura kantham bhitva viniryatavu tasmat mangalikau ubhau. Omkaraha atha śraddhascha brahmanah pura kantham bhitva viniryato tasmat mangalikau ubhau. Omkara and the word atha, they came from the Brahman before the creation. Before the creation, when the Brahman wanted to start the creation, these two words emerged. Which came first? Because that should be the first, the very auspicious thing. Though both these came from Brahman's throat, kantam bhitva, tearing open his throat, it came like that, something. Now, we don't have to go into the details which came first and which didn't, because all these are like those that stupid illogical question, like we say. How many pancakes can you eat in empty stomach? Or how many laddus can you eat in empty stomach? You can probably eat 10 pancakes. 5. Whatever answer you give is wrong, illogical. Because the moment you take a part of the pancake from the first one and put it in your mouth and swallow it, your stomach is no more empty. So, you can't even eat one full pancake in your empty stomach. So, that is the tricky question. Similarly here, this ātmajñāna, atha, in this atha ātmajñāna. In this atha, which came, atha or omkara? This is a tricky question. There's no need for that. Both came from Brahma's throat before the creation. Before creation, Brahma said, Om, atha. So therefore, those two words became auspicious. Okay. Now, ātmajñānopadeśarvidhiṃ. Therefore, atha is used in the sense of mangala charana. There is no mangala charana. Atha is the mangala charana here. Okay. It's the auspicious word. Now, because the tradition expects the teachers to write a mangala charana to impart the tradition to the disciple. Śraddhāchāra. Śraddhāchāra means the method of tradition. Method followed by the wise men. So, for imparting that knowledge, text should have mangala charana. But here, though he knows that, he decided to not skip that by saying atha. Why? Because ātmajñānopadeśarvidhiṃ is important. He wanted to complete this text. He wanted to impart the knowledge immediately. Atha. Now, just, okay, get rid of that mangala charana. Atha. Now, let's start. So he wanted to start the manga, the text quickly. So he just wrote it as he just said atha. That's all. Okay, atha, the auspicious word. After that, ātmajñānopadeśarvidhiṃ, atma, the self, jnana, the knowledge, self knowledge, upadesha, teaching, imparting, vidhi. Vidhi means prakara, method. Vidhi, not injunction. Vidhi is not injunction, it is prakara, methodology. So the method of imparting the knowledge of self, the self knowledge. That is the name of the text. So vyākhyāsyāmo, we are going to explain. Vyākhyāsyāmo. Okay, now that vyākhyāsyāmo, syāma, let us forget that that's a verb. Now here vyākhyā, vyākhyā, kya prakathane is the root word. Prakathane, prakashtakatane, to say nicely, wonderfully, nicely, beautifully, etc. Okay, that itself has in it contains that we are going to say it in a special way, superior way, prakashta, superior way. But he adds with kathana, with the explanation, kya, to explain. With that he says a means asamantat, completely, entirely. And he is adding one more prefix, vi, visheshena, in a special way, clearly. We are going to explain clearly, completely the methodology of imparting the knowledge of self. That is the ātmajñānopadeśarvidhiṃ vyākhyāsyāmo. To whom? So with this, there are two things. Mumukṣave, we'll take that mumukṣave also. With this, see, Mangalacharana is also used as a blurb, because we need to understand who the text is for. So that blurb explains us. So Mangalacharana also explains us that what if it is useful for me or not. I don't want to study something which is not useful for me. So he says ātmajñānopadeśarvidhiṃ vyākhyāsyāmo mumukṣave. Here the 4 prerequisites for a text. Anubandha chatushtaya. Okay, anubandha chatushtaya, the 4 pillars of the text, that is taken care of. What is that? What are those 4? Vishaya, prayojana, sambandha, adhikari. What is the subject matter? Vishaya means subject matter. What is the subject matter? Ātmajñāna. What is the prayojana? Jnana, knowledge. Self-knowledge is the subject matter of the text. Knowledge is the a result we gain from the text. Sambandha, Vishaya Vishi Bhava Sambandha, subject and object. That is the relationship. And what is who is the adhikari, who is the eligible seeker? Mumukṣave, the one who desires moksha. Without the desire for moksha, if you study this text, this will be one more text to broaden your horizons of knowledge. That's all. It will not lead you to realization. You may understand everything, but it will not lead you to realization. For realization, you need to be a mumukshu. Mumukshu means mokshobi bhuyadidi draṣṭurdṛśyo'nya, one who has a steadfast clarity that let me gain the liberation. The seeker of truth, the seeker of liberation is mumukshu. For that mumukṣave, 4th case. Mumukṣave, for that mumukshu. Whom am I going to explain this in detail to? For the mumukshu. Śraddhadhānāya. Śraddhadhānāya. No. Again. vyākhyāsyāmo. Why do you have to explain it? You will meditate and gain the knowledge. That is impossible. You cannot gain this self-knowledge through any other means other than understanding, learning it from the Guru. That is why the Shrutis are very clear. Acharyavan Purusho Veda. Acharyavan Purusho Veda. The one who has a preceptor understands it, understand the truth. Acharya eva vidita vidya sadhishtham prapat. Only when the knowledge is gained from the Guru, it becomes established. So all these give the importance to learning from a proper Guru. That is also explained. Parikshya loka sa gurumeva abhigachet shrotriyam brahmanishtham. He should have to go to the Guru. Who is eligible to be called as a Guru? Shrotriyam brahmanishtham. One who has studied, Shrotriya means one who has heard. One who has studied from the tradition and one who is established in what he studied. So that is important. He should be a person from the tradition. Because Bhagavan Bhashyakara says in his Bhashya, Gita Bhashya, I think. So he says, what I think? Gita Bhashya. He says, Asampradaya murkhavad upekshaniya. If a person is not a knower of, or if he is a person who is not in a tradition of this Vedanta, then murkhavad upekshani, he should be discarded. Upekshani, he should be discarded like an idiot. How you just dismiss an idiot, in that similar way, you should have to dismiss this fellow. There is no choice here. So the knowledge should be gained only from the Guru, and that Guru, a person, one who is qualified to be called as a Guru, is a person who is in the tradition. So, mumukṣave, for whom this knowledge is going to be imparted? For the mumukshu, a person, one who desires that I desire moksha, I want moksha, nothing else, only for him. Because without that, there is no point in teaching to others. Because there is this text in the Upanishads, Chandogya Upanishad, I think. This Narada is a great saint. Narada is the Guru. So to this Guru, this great saint, this Sanaka, he goes and he says, Bahava shochami, tantva shokam param tarayitu. So he says, I am troubled a lot. Therefore, oh please, Lord, help me to cross over this sorrow of samsara. That is his question. And Kaspinnu bhavo vijñāti sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. In another place also, the disciple goes to the Guru and says, knowing which everything is as well known. So please explain me that. So only for a person who has the desire to know the self can gain the self. Otherwise, it will be self knowledge, not self knowledge. Right? So he says, mumukṣave, ātmajñānopadeśarvidhiṃ. For that mukshu, śraddhadhānāya. What kind of mukshu he should be? Śraddhadhānāya. Fourth case again. To him who has śraddha. Because śraddha is accepted to be the important pillar in knowledge. Śraddhāvān labhate jnānam. Bhagavan says in Gita, Śraddhāvān labhate jnānam tat parasanyatendriyaha. Śraddhāvān labhate jnānam. That is the point we take normally. Śraddhāvān labhate jnānam. One who has śraddha gains knowledge. Okay. Tat parasanyatendriyaha. There, tat parasanyat. Being Shraddha, being endowed with Shraddha, you should have to have the sense control also. That is how normally it is interpreted. But I translate it as a Tat Paraha. After that, Sayitendri, sense organ control, etc. Without Shraddha, even if you have sense organ control, everything, it's of no use. What is Shraddha? Shraddha is loosely translated as faith, etc. We translate it as surrender. Śraddhāvān labhate jnānam. And in Upanishad, it says, śraddhasva soumya, oh dear, śraddhasva. So, śraddhasva here can be interpreted as listen carefully. But here, śraddhasva means have surrender. Okay. Now, again, in another place, he says, śraddhānvito bhūtva. Śraddhānvito bhūtva. Have being endowed with shraddha. So, shraddha is an important quality which is explained through the Upanishads and the Smriti, Shruti and Smriti, both. Shraddha, Shraddhanvito. There is another interpretation for these words also. We'll see that later. But Śraddhadhānāya, śraddhadhānāya, person with surrender. Okay, he should be desiring liberation. He should be desirous of liberation, and he should have surrender, the attitude of surrender towards Guru and Shastra. He should have to have clarity that nothing can give me the knowledge liberation other than the Shastra and Guru. That is the surrender. So, with that surrender, yataye, one who is a renunciate. Yataye, yati means sannyasi, renunciate, to that renunciate. Who is a sannyasi? Yeshana trayatyaga sannyasah. Tad yasya asti iti sannyasi. Yeshana trayatyaga, having given up the three kinds of yeshanas. Yeshanas means attachments. Giving up the three kinds of attachments is called as a renunciation. What are they? Putreshana, vitteshana, lokeshana. Putreshana means the attachment to progeny, wife, etc. Now, vitteshana means the attachment to wealth. Lokeshana means the attachment to the enjoyments of the world, name and fame, etc. So, one should have to giving up these three are important. That is why we say renunciate. Why it is renunciate? Because sanyasya shravanam guryad. The important reason for taking sannyasa is to listen to the Shastra. Now, after taking sannyasa, if you don't study the Shastra, you are an idiot. You were an idiot before, now you are a colored idiot. That's the only difference. The color of your dress changes, nothing else. If you don't have the knowledge of Shastra, it's a glorified ashrama, that's all, nothing else. You are a glorified idiot. Be clear about that. Now, because Bhagavan Bhashyakara says, Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Udara Nimittam, Bahukrata Vesham, all the different kinds of clothes, etc., are only for the sake of your belly, to fill your stomach. Nothing else. So, sannyasa. If you see a sannyasi who is an idiot or intelligent, doesn't really matter, it gives him some respect and then leave. That's all. You don't have to. You don't think that having taken sannyasa is a liberated one. No. Akar robe is just another dress. That's all. Okay. So yataye, a sannyasi. Why we see a sannyasi is it is easy for him to give up the attachment for the world, the sons, etc. Not for the grahasthas. The others naturally have the attachment for the kids, etc., or the name and fame or the experience of the other world. That is why in the Mundaka Upanishad, Sa Gurumeva Bigachat Shrotrem Brahmashtam. Before that, it says, Parikshya lokan karmachitan brahmanan nirvedam ayat nastya krita kritena. Parikshya lokan pariksha, after inquiring, after testing, after inquiring into the world, karmachitan, a person, one who is involved in the karmas, performing the karmas, nirvedam ayat, he should have to gain the dispassion. He should have to gain dispassion only after performing the karmas. How? What kind of dispassion he gains? Nasti akrutaha krutena. Through the methodologies, through the action, akruta, that which is not a product of anything, any action, cannot be gained. Nasti cannot be gained. The self, which is not a effector, cannot be gained through any action. That is the clarity. That is the dispassion he gains. Then Sagurumeva Gacchati, he goes to the Guru. He should have to go to the Guru, etc. That is the idea. Okay. Now that is the important thing. Yataye means a person, one who after performing the karmas has given up the attachment to the results here and hereafter, and he has surrendered himself to the Guru. Yataye śraddhadhānāya, he has surrendered to the Guru because he is a mumukshu. Now, important point is vītarāgāya. Vītarāgāya. Vītarāgāya means vyākhyāsyāmo. Raga means a desire. Vigata means a having left out, having left it, having given up. Having given up the desires. Desires means the hatred also. It is pointing to the hatred also. It's implied meaning for hatred, etc. So, having given up the desire, hatred, etc., one who has given up the desire, hatred, etc., for him, we are going to impart the knowledge of the self. Now, vītarāgāya, desire, hatred, etc., that's an important point. Why? Because yataye, after saying yataye, vītarāgāya is important point. Otherwise, yati, a sannyasi, can be with the desires, etc. There is a story in the tradition which says there is this small hut in which a sannyasi stays on the banks of Ganges. Opposite on the other side of the road, there is this big mansion of this lady in old tradition. She is a prostitute. Okay. Now, this sannyasi, he always looks through his window. What is she doing? What is she doing? Oh, this fellow has come now. Oh, that fellow has come now. Oh, what kind of lady she is. Always talking about her, thinking about her, and noting who is coming and who is going. That lady, on the other hand, she, though, does the old business, but still, she is a devoted one. She takes that money for her survival and her servants and other people. She also does good deeds through that money, and she is always devoted to God. When they both die at the same time, Pushpaka Vimana, a flight comes from heaven, and that does not land in front of the sannyasi, it lands in front of that lady's house. Sannyasi says, oh, come here, that's a wrong address, come, GPS is wrong, come here. They say, no, we came for her, not for you. How? Even though she was doing those kind of activities, she is always thinking about God. But even though you have taken to sannyasa, you are always thinking about her, not the God. That is why she is given importance. So, vītarāgāya is important for sannyasis also. He should have to have no desire, attachment, etc. Okay, so these four things, mumukṣave, śraddhadhānāya, yataye, vītarāgāya, are pointers to the four prerequisites. What are the four prerequisites? Viveka, vairagya, samadhi-shakta sampatti, mukshutva. Right? Viveka, yataye, he should be a sannyasi. Why will a person take to sannyasa? Person will take to sannyasa only when he has a clarity that I have to study the shastra to gain the liberation. So, yataye, viveka, discrimination, and vītarāgāya, having given up the desire, etc. Therefore, that means the attachment to the results here and hereafter. Vairagya, dispassion. Then, śraddhadhānāya. Shraddha is one of the 6 qualities, right? Among the 6 qualities, Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhana. In that, Shraddha is the important one. That is why śraddhadhānāya, that is a implication to other qualities. And the 4th one is mukshutva, mumukṣave, directly it is said. So, veka, vairagya, samadhi-shakta sampatti, and mukshutva, all the 4 prerequisites are set. Because without these prerequisites, no one can gain liberation. That is what is said in the Bhashya Teshu hi satsu brahma jigyasitum shakyate jnatum cha. In Bhashya, he says, only when you have these prerequisites, he can have the desire to know the knowledge and gain the knowledge. The desire to know also stems from these prerequisites. When you have not total complete, when you have a little bit of a here and there prerequisites, that pushes you into this path. Okay. Now, ātmalābhāt, paralābhābhāvāt. Why should you give the knowledge of self to him? Because ātmalābhāt, with reference to the knowledge of self, from the knowledge of self, paralābhāvāt, there is nothing superior to it. Because to gain the result, there are two kinds of results. One is abhyudaya, comparative greatness. There is other is nishrayasa, superior greatness. Okay, comparative and superior. So the abhyudaya, comparative greatness is a greater, some result here, some result there, and some result hereafter in the other worlds, etc. That is comparative greatness. That they are not eternal. Nishrayasa means nishitam shreyah, that which is definitely superior. That is how normally it is translated. But I translate it as nirgato shreyah, from where this superiority has gone. There is no result, right? Then there is no result. There is no comparison, superiority or inferiority there in the self, because all the attributes, the self is attributeless, qualityless, characterless. Therefore, there is no superiority anything. So, nirgataha shreyah, from where the shreyas, the superiority, etc. has gone, is absent. So, that nirgata shreya, that nishreyasa, that superior greatness, that is the result we want. And there, ātmalābhāt, that superior greatness is not possible with any other result other than knowledge of self. But wait, ātmalābhā, labha means to gain. Labha prapti, to gain. So, gain means then atma is something that is gained. So what? If something is gained, then it will be lost in time. Yat kritakam tad anityam. Very clear that is whatever is created is non-eternal. The Shrutis say, therefore, this atma will be lost. Then even if you gain with so much of difficulty, you will be losing it at one point or another. For that we say, no, there are two kinds of gaining. One is a gaining of gaining, not gained. The other is a gaining of gained. Meaning you don't have money, you work hard, you gain money. Because you don't have, you gain it. You don't have food, you buy the food with that money. You didn't have, you gain it. That is one gain which is normal in the world. The other gaining is gaining whatever you have already gained. How can you gain the gained? Simple. You have your goggles, you put your goggles and you have it on your forehead or in your temple. Now, or in your nose. Now, bridge of the nose. Now, you are searching for your goggles. Where is my goggles? Somebody says it's on your forehead or in your nose. Oh, yes. So, if because of the ignorance, even though you have that, you forget it. I experienced the situation. I told that old Swami also. I'm going to use you in the class. When I was in Kumbh Mela in Ujjain, this organizer was a known Swami. So he said, you arrange, you take whoever you want, put 10 people, not more than 10 people in that. That's all. Only 10 people, okay? Maximum. So we had a tent of our own and 5 on this side and 5 on that side. That's how we were sleeping. Now, around 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, there was some sound, some noise. Somebody's picking up something, searching something. I just woke up. Small sound, I just woke up. Just looking at it. It was just behind. Next Swami. I said, what happened? Sorry, please. Sleep, sleep, sleep. No, now I am awake. Now tell me what are you searching for? I'm searching for my torchlight. So I asked him, are you searching for another torchlight or this torchlight which you have in your hand? Oh, I'm sorry. So he was searching for the torchlight using the torchlight. So this now he forgot that he is using the torchlight, searching the torchlight. When I pointed out to him that he is having already the torchlight, that is gaining of already that which is gained. Okay, so this gain, that is why in the text called Advaita Siddhi, he gives the name Advaita Siddhi. Advaita, non-duality, is ever established. How can you establish the non-duality which is ever established? So he says, Advaita mithyatva purvakatvat Advaita Siddhe. Advaita is established by establishing the illusoriness of the duality. So that is why we have to understand ātmalābhāt. Other than the gaining of self, paralābhābhāt, there is nothing superior. ātmalābhāt paralābho na iha vidyate. There is one statement. There is no gaining superior to gaining of the self-knowledge. Okay. Now, why do you have to gain this? Because from here, this is Sutra Bhukta Vakya. From here, there is this inquiry into draṣṭurdṛśya viveka. We call it the discrimination of drik and drishya, the discrimination of seen and the seer. Drik is seer, draṣṭuh seer, and drishya is seen. That is starting from here, commencing from here. Now, the Sutra Bhukta Vakya, the statement in the form of aphorism is draṣṭurdṛśyo'nya iti prasiddho loke. Draṣṭuh, the seer, drishya, the seen, anya, different. The seer and the seen are different. This is prasiddha loke. This is famous in the world. In the world, it is very famously known that the seer is different from the seen. But the problem is, like Bhagavan Bhashyakara says in his some Adhyasa Bhashya, aham idam mama idam iti naisargiko ayam loka vyavahara. I am this, this is mine. This is a natural way of a transaction in the world. Because of what? Because of the superimposition of I in the subject in the object and object in the subject. Because, see, I know who is this here. You know who I am? When you say that, you know who I am, that itself destroys the idea that you don't understand what you are talking about. So, if you say you are the seer, the body is seen. It is not the seer. So, the eyes are the seer. The eyes are also seen because the mind sees whether the eyes see things properly or not, whether the power is proper or not. Now, that eye which you think as the seer is becoming a scene, the object. It's not a subject. So, there is a confusion between understanding the subject and object. That is why he says, prasiddho loke. This is a famous thing in the world, but still we don't understand who the seer is and who the seen is. Okay, we'll see this. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.